Yo, stop what you're doing right now. You want to lead like a pro? You want to step into rooms and have people move because you moved? Let me tell you something. Leadership ain't about titles. It's about impact. It's about walking in purpose so loud that people can't help but follow. Everybody wants to lead until it's time to serve, to sacrifice, and to show up every single day with consistency, character, and courage. If you want to know the secret to leading people like a pro, not just talking about it, not just faking it, then stay locked in, because I'm about to give you the real keys to greatness. Number 1, lead yourself first. You can't take people somewhere you've never been. You want to lead others? You better be the first one grinding, the first one showing discipline, the first one sacrificing. Leadership doesn't start with the crowd, it starts in the mirror. Before you speak into anyone's life, make sure your own life is speaking volumes. Because here's the truth. If your foundation is cracked, the whole building is unstable. See, too many people want to be in charge, but they can't even control their own habits. You're yelling at people to be on time, but you're showing up late. You want folks to be accountable, but you're making excuses? Nah, that's not leadership. That's hypocrisy. And real ones can smell it. They see through the fake. They know when you're preaching what you haven't practiced. You can't expect loyalty from people when you haven't even committed to yourself. You want them to work hard? You better be outworking them. You want excellence? Show excellence in your attitude, in your work ethic, in your speech, in your thoughts. Leading yourself means holding yourself to a higher standard, even when no one is watching, especially when no one is watching. This ain't about perfection, it's about progression. It's about being willing to confront your weaknesses, get in the lab, and work on them until they don't control you anymore. It's about having the humility to say, I've got work to do, and the determination to get it done. And don't think discipline is punishment. Discipline is freedom. When you lead yourself well, when you have structure, routine, spiritual alignment, you gain clarity, confidence, and credibility. People follow that. People are drawn to someone who walks in purpose with consistency. Don't skip the inner work just to look good on the outside. That public image will crumble if the private reality ain't solid. So get your house in order. Get your soul in order. Set goals, wake up early. Spend time in prayer. Get in your word. Honor your commitments. Lead your mind, lead your emotions, lead your spirit, because if you don't, someone or something else will. And remember, the best leaders never stop leading themselves. They never arrive. They keep evolving, keep growing, keep learning. That hunger, that fire to better yourself daily, that is what separates average from elite. So before you ask anybody to follow you, ask yourself one question. Would I follow me? Number 2, serve with intent. Let's kill the lie right now. Leadership is not about being the boss. It's about being the servant. It's not about sitting high while others stay low. It's about getting under people to lift them up. You don't lead people from the top, you lead from the front, and you serve from the heart. The greatest leaders are the greatest servants, period. Look at any impactful leader in history, from Jesus Christ to Martin Luther King Jr. They didn't dominate with control. They sacrificed with compassion. They didn't manipulate people. They ministered to people. They weren't chasing power. They were walking in purpose. If you want to lead people like a pro, you got to ask the right question. How can I add value to your life? That's servant leadership. You see a need and you meet it. You see potential and you water it. You don't compete with your team, you complete your team. But here's the catch. Serving with intent requires humility. You can't be full of ego and expect to elevate others. You got to be willing to get dirty. You got to be okay with doing what nobody sees, what nobody thanks you for, what doesn't get claps. Because real leadership happens in the trenches, not in the spotlight. And serving ain't just about actions. It's about heart posture. Are you helping others just to be seen? Or are you doing it because you're called? Are you washing feet because it looks good in pictures? Or because you truly love people? Leadership by service means checking on your team, not just when things go wrong, but when everything's going right, just to make sure their soul is okay. It means knowing their names, knowing their pain, praying for them, standing in the gap. It means doing the extra, going the second mile, and not needing applause to do it. Intentional service creates trust. When people know you genuinely care, they'll follow you into battle. They'll go the distance with you, because they're not just following your skill set, they're following your heart. Let me be real, you might not always feel like serving, but that's when it matters most. When you're tired, when you're hurting, when you don't get anything in return, that's when your leadership is proven. That's when God sees your heart, and He honors it with favor, with influence, with legacy. So stop trying to be impressive and start being impactful. The greatest leaders don't flex their position. They express their compassion. They build bridges, not walls. They inspire action, not fear. And they never forget the crown is heavy, because it's meant to serve, not to shine. Number 3, be authentically you. You want to lead people like a pro? Then stop pretending to be someone you're not. The world doesn't need another copy, another clone, another fake version of a perfect leader. The world needs you, raw, real, and unapologetically authentic. Listen to me. The most powerful thing you can bring to leadership is your truth, not your image, not your reputation, your truth. People don't connect with the polished version of you. They connect with the struggles, the scars, the lessons you learned in the dark. The real you has power. The fake you is a mask, and masks don't lead movements. They block connection. Too many leaders are trying to perform rather than lead. They're trying to impress rather than impact. But hear me, you don't have to be perfect to be powerful. Your transparency builds trust. Your honesty creates loyalty. Your story, with all its brokenness and beauty, is exactly what somebody else needs to hear to believe they can overcome. Being authentic means owning your mistakes. It means saying, I messed up, but I learned. It means not being afraid to say, I'm still growing. That humility, that realness, that's what draws people in. Because people don't need a hero, they need a human. Leadership isn't about creating distance through status. It's about building bridges through vulnerability. When you're real with your team, when you show them your heart, when you let them in, that's when walls fall. That's when unity forms. That's when real influence starts. Don't let insecurity drive you to imitation. If God wanted you to be someone else, He would have made you someone else. But He didn't. He made you with your exact voice, personality, and story. Because somebody somewhere needs what only you carry. You think your struggle disqualifies you? Nah, it qualifies you. It equips you. It gives you empathy. It makes you a better leader, not a weaker one. The pain you've been through, the battles you fought, they give your leadership depth and meaning. Don't hide it. Use it. Here's what I know. You're at your most powerful when you're at your most authentic. You don't need to talk like them. You don't need to dress like them. You don't need to lead like them. You just need to be fully you, bold, broken, brilliant, becoming. So take off the mask. Drop the act. Be the kind of leader who sets people free, not just to follow you, but to be themselves too. Because when you walk in your truth, you give others permission to do the same. Be authentic. Be real. Be you. That's leadership. Number 4, make decisions with vision, not emotion. Listen, emotions are real, but they're not reliable. If you lead based on how you feel, you're going to crash every time the storm hits. If you let your feelings drive the bus, don't be surprised when it crashes. You can't lead like a pro when your emotions are in control. You've got to lead with vision. Vision is what sees beyond the moment. Vision says, I know it's hard now, but I'm headed somewhere. Vision says this pain is temporary. The purpose is eternal. Vision gives you direction when emotions scream for distraction. Emotions say quit. Vision says keep going. Emotions say lash out. Vision says lead with wisdom. Let me break it down. Real leaders don't react. They respond. They don't allow temporary situations to produce permanent consequences. Just because you're mad doesn't mean you explode. Just because you're tired doesn't mean you quit. Just because they disrespected you doesn't mean you stop walking in integrity. You respond based on where you're going, not how you feel. Vision keeps you grounded. When the pressure comes, and it will, your vision becomes your compass. It reminds you why you started. It reminds you who you're doing this for. It reminds you what matters most when everything else is screaming for your attention. Think about a GPS. It doesn't care about traffic, rain, or detours. It just keeps saying recalculating. Keep moving. That's what vision does. It keeps your spirit locked in when your emotions try to make you drift. It brings you back to center when everything is trying to pull you off course. Pro leaders ask themselves, will this decision bring me closer to my purpose or pull me away? That's the question. If it brings you closer, you move with clarity. If it pulls you away, you pause, even if it feels good in the moment. Discipline over impulse, vision over emotion, purpose over pleasure. And I'm not saying ignore your feelings. I'm saying don't be ruled by them. Bring your emotions to God. Get clarity in prayer. Seek wise counsel. But don't let a bad day make you make a bad decision. Don't let a heated moment destroy what took years to build. You've got people watching you. People depending on you. People following your example. When you lead with vision, you show them what it looks like to stand firm, to walk in wisdom, to stay focused. That's leadership. So stop making emotional moves that leave you in spiritual debt. Start making decisions that honor your future, not just your feelings. Lead with vision. That's how pros rise. That's how legacies are built. That's how nations are changed. Number 5, empower, don't control. Let's make something clear right now. Leadership is not about control. It's about empowerment. If you feel the need to control every little detail, every move your team makes, you're not leading. You're suffocating. You're not building leaders. You're building robots. And robots can only go as far as you program them. But empowered people, they can go further than you ever imagined. See, some people think leadership means you have to have all the answers, make every decision, be the smartest person in the room. Wrong. Real leaders don't create followers. They create more leaders. You're not called to be the ceiling. You're called to be the floor that others stand on to rise. Control is rooted in fear. Empowerment is rooted in faith. When you empower others, you're saying, I believe in you enough to give you room to grow. I trust you enough to let you make decisions. I value you enough to invest in your development. That kind of leadership doesn't just change performance, it changes people. You want your team to take ownership, give them responsibility. You want innovation, give them freedom. You want loyalty, show them trust. Don't micromanage, don't nitpick, don't hover. Equip them, train them, pour into them, and then let them fly. And yeah, they might mess up, but guess what? You did too. You weren't always polished. You had someone who believed in you. Now it's your turn to be that person. Empowerment means seeing what others don't see. It's seeing gold in people while the world sees dirt. It's calling out greatness when they still see failure. It's saying you're more than what you've settled for. And sometimes it means pushing them out of comfort zones they didn't even know they were stuck in. Now let me be real. Empowering others takes humility, because if you're insecure, you'll feel threatened by their success. But if you're a real leader, you'll celebrate it. You'll clap the loudest when they win, because their growth is your legacy. And don't confuse empowerment with neglect. You don't just hand people the wheel and walk away. No, you coach them, you guide them, you mentor them, but you give them the space to grow into their own leadership, to find their own voice, to walk in their own gifting. At the end of the day, leadership isn't about how important you are. It's about how important you make others feel. That's the real measure. So ask yourself, are you building people or just building your ego? Empower, don't control, because leaders who lift others, they're the ones who rise highest. Number 6, stay consistent, not convenient.
Anybody can lead when the lights are on. Anybody can show up when it's easy, when the crowd is cheering, when everything's going their way. But what separates the amateurs from the professionals? Consistency. Not hype, not talent, not convenience. Consistency. You can't build anything that lasts without consistency. Vision without consistency is just a dream. Passion without consistency is just noise. Listen to me. People don't follow what you say one time. They follow what you do every time. If you only lead when it feels good, when you're motivated, when you're energized, you ain't leading. You're reacting. You're driven by your circumstances instead of your calling. But real leaders show up when they're tired, when they're frustrated, when no one's watching, when no one's clapping, when everything inside of them says quit. They say keep going. You want people to trust you? Be consistent. You want people to believe in your vision? Be consistent. You want to make an impact that outlives you? Be consistent. Consistency is what builds reputation. It's what builds credibility. It's what makes people say, that's a leader I can follow. Let me be honest. Consistency is hard. It's not sexy. It's not exciting. It's repetitive. It's lonely. It's waking up early again. It's staying late again. It's showing love when you don't get it back. It's doing what's right when nobody claps for you. But that's what makes it powerful. Because anybody can start something, but it takes a leader to finish. In the enemy, he doesn't care if you start. He knows most people do. He's just betting you won't last. He's betting you'll fizzle out when it gets hard. But you've got a different spirit. You've got a different hunger. You've got the kind of consistency that breaks generational curses, builds generational blessings, and changes the game forever. Stop waiting for the perfect moment. Lead when it's painful. Lead when it's uncomfortable. Lead when it's dark. Because every time you show up consistently, you gain strength. You gain influence. You gain power. Not from what you said, but from what you proved. And don't confuse convenience with calling. Just because something is hard doesn't mean it's not God. Sometimes the toughest path is the one with the greatest purpose. Your consistency is your loudest sermon. People may forget your words, but they'll never forget your discipline. So don't just be good when it's convenient. Be great when it's uncomfortable. Be unshakable. Be unwavering. Be the same when it's raining as when it's shining. That's the kind of leader the world needs. Stay consistent. That's how pros are made. That's how legacies are built. That's how mountains are moved. Let's go.